All right, today we have with us Cheryl Packwood, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Deputy Chairman of the Bermuda International Business Association. The acronym is BIBA, B-I-B-A. We're well familiar with BIBA. CATEX has been down in Bermuda since 1995 and has in fact met with BIBA executives back in the 90s. So we're happy to have Ms. Packwood speak with us on very short notice about the election yesterday. Cheryl, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Very
good morning.
Good morning to you, and we have Cheryl's photo up on the screen now. Cheryl, we've been reading the Bermuda Gazette pretty regularly. We have a number of viewers down in Bermuda, and obviously Bermuda is important for the international reinsurance industry. So we've been following the election pretty closely, and as predicted, it in some ways was a close election by the popular vote. I think the opposition party got 47% of the vote, and the PLP got 53%, but yet it was a landslide in terms of representation in the legislative body. And certainly in the United States, we're familiar with that. In the 2000 election, President Bush, who won the election, had fewer votes than the opposing candidate, Mr. Gore. Maybe you could talk a little bit, what was the difference in platforms, if you will, between the two parties?
Well, both parties ran pretty much on a very social-based platform, seeking to address the needs of the local population with regards to housing and education and transportation. In terms of business, I guess there was a perception that the United Bermuda Party was more favorable to international business. However, I wish to point out that Bermuda has indeed prospered and had a driving and thriving economy since it came into power in 1998. And it has a very strong track record in terms of how our economy, in terms of managing our economy.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I suspect when reinsurance leaders and business leaders around the world picked up the papers today or saw on the internet and saw that the PLP had won again, fairly or unfairly, I suspect there was perhaps a little bit of chagrin on their part, saying, oh, wow, I perhaps thought that the opposition party would win because maybe there were some concerns that international business community has or had with visa regulations or immigration regulation, things of that nature. But one of the points that you made to me in our discussion before we went on the air was in fact what the PLP was essentially grappling with after it came to power in 1998 was really for the first time as a Bermudian government setting up these processes and institutions to deal with Bermuda stepping into the 21st century as a global economic power. Maybe you could talk a bit about that so people like me can be, I suppose, we can look at the PLP in a little bit more of a defanged light, if you will, because rather than being some revolutionary party.
Prior to 98, or international business really started to boom in the 80s and 90s, and we always had a work permit process in place to some degree. But what I believe you saw with the coming into power of the PLP was an attempt to really install or institute regulations and rules to make the process fair and to ensure that Bermudians do have a first crack at a job before it would go to a foreign worker. By no means does that mean that foreign workers are not welcome here or that we do not recognize that our economy is very much dependent on foreign workers. And indeed, what has happened with the growth of our economy over the past 9 years the PLP has been in power, we've seen an increase in the need for expat laborers, maybe go up, you could almost say exponentially. Mm-hmm. So which has complicated in more respects perceptions of what the government was trying to do. But it really has been about putting in place fair rules and regulations in terms of offering out term limits, work permits, and putting into place the concept of term limits. It's a question of tweaking it, making it better. Is it exactly right? Do we need to be working on it and making it better? Absolutely. But it certainly doesn't mean that we do not welcome the guest worker and also recognize how dependent, in fact, we really are on these people to our economy.
One of the things that perhaps happens in any democracy is, as an election comes down to that last lap, there's all sorts of incendiary rhetoric that's hurled back and forth, and the Bermuda election was no exception. Although I would admit, as an American citizen who was subjected to an endless election cycle up here, your rhetoric was very calm and gentlemanly compared to what happens up here. But some comments that Mr. Dunkley made and Dr. Brown made back and forth. How should people up here or in the international business community take that? Just mainly politics as usual, or that now that the election is over, everybody will hitch up their trousers, or so to speak, and get back to work, and the business of Bermuda will go on?
Very much so. The business of Bermuda will go on. It was very much it was a campaign. While Bermudians may be vocal in their disagreements on a host of issues, which they have freely expressed, truly, they are certainly united in their understanding of the importance of international business to the economy and thus the success of our jurisdiction. Again, I say the PLP party, under the PLP government, we have had amazing success with our economy and attracting international business to the island, and I would suspect and assume that it's going to continue to be successful. And there's nothing that would indicate that it would be otherwise. Again, we recognize how important international business is to our economy, and a lot of this has been about making our country fair. And again, I believe that we will need to tweak legislation as in any country. And, going back to work permits and term limits, every country in the world has work permits. Every country in the world looks to protect its citizens first in terms of giving out jobs. And, Bermuda really is not being any different. And it's just, we maybe have a little bit of a harder job because we have such a high percentage of guest worker. But again, we're trying to make that fair.
So the overall takeaway I'm getting from this is that if I'm watching this program from a syndicate box in Lloyd's, or from a insurance company in Asia or Latin America, I can look at what happened in Bermuda yesterday as being an expression of the free democratic will of the Bermudian people, but from a perspective of business, international business, reinsurance in particular, we need not fear. That's your view? That's what I'm hearing.
We need that. What fear? I didn't say fear.
No, but we being the international reinsurance community need not fear of...
need not fear. Yes,
need not fear.
No, not at all. We are very much open for business and available for business, and Bermudians in general are very hospitable and welcoming people. As you've been to the island, I'm sure you remember, we are very welcoming people, and we love our island. We love to show how wonderful and beautiful our island is. I
can do you one better. 2 years ago, I was in a scooter accident, as many typical stupid American tourists are, and ended up spending 5 nights in King Edward VII, and I still go back to that hospital to say hello to my nurses. So believe me,
we want you. There's no question about it. It's really just it's about an island, about a country growing up and making its laws more part of the grown-up world.
Well, thank you very much today, then, Cheryl Packwood. We appreciate it. We know we got you on short notice, and if you don't mind, we'll probably speak to you again in the future as this unfolds.
No problem, and thank you for calling, and have a great day.
Thank you.